Hello, everybody. How's everyone? How is everyone? What is this? This. Open the chat here. Here we go. Here we go. And hello, everyone. Hope I don't like to. I hope I don't look too crappy. I've been real sick. I mean, the past couple of days. Whoa, I felt like crap. But it's getting better now. So, whoops, something happened that I need to fix. Heck. Okay. Oh, this is like that. Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard. This is the Shortwave Radio live show, and we talk about radio. And yes, I've been quite sick on Monday. If I had felt today like Monday, I can tell you guys I would not be here. It was one hell of a day where all I wanted is to sleep and just do nothing, and basically that's it. So nice to have you on board, and this is the Shortwave Radio Show. We are live twice a week. By the way, Voice of Vietnam English in North America should be not too bad. 7315, very strong tonight. 7315 out of South Bend, Indiana. It's WHRI Relay and Voice of Vietnam English 7315 at 0UT. One of my favorite listening experiences at night. 0UT is always okay. Let's listen to Voice of Vietnam, and then let's go with the flow, which is kind of interesting. And so we talk about different things. We got three subjects that I want to touch tonight. One that Prasad had sent last week, where he wants me to explain in what way knowing the azimuth helps in shortwave listening. And that's a good question because it's something we don't necessarily think about. And it does help, absolutely, because knowing where a signal comes from can easily tell you if yes or no it's possible to listen to it, and it also can tell you that even if a broadcast is not in your general direction, sometimes things are possible. Of course, we'll talk about bias T because I sparked some questions because now my MLA30 is powered by the bias T of the SDR Play RSPDX rather than the little box that came with my antenna, rather than this little thing. And we're going to explain that. Of course, we'll talk about my gifts from Kevin Jane Apollo, this very beautiful Sangean ATS 909X. What an amazingly beautiful radio. And my first ever C-Crane receiver, a nice big CC radio shortwave. So we're going to talk about these radios. We're going to talk about azimuth, bias T. We're going to talk about why sometimes propagation is crappy. Let's hope that we have time to all put that together tonight in the show. My name is Gilles. I'm located in the northeast part of North America in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And we are live twice a week. We are live on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. That's 0 UTC. So in some part of the world, like where Prasad lives, or in Europe in general, it's actually uh, Thursday, not Wednesday. And of course, in North America, it's Wednesday night. So, interesting to see the different people that we see in the live shows. The other live show is on Friday, and that one is at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, 20 UTC. A much better experience for our European listeners. And nice to have everybody on board as usual. So today I've got my, the same as last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago. I had that black currant flavored beer. So it's a black currant flavored ale. So cheers. Pretty good beer. And it's nice to have everybody here. I might lose my voice during the show. Who knows? But we'll try to do the best we can. We have a Facebook group that is probably the best. I'm not even, because it's easy to say whatever we do is the best, or it's like if I would say my shortwave channel is the best. My opinion of my own things is different from the opinion of others on my own things. So, of course, but you know what? I think the Facebook group we have, in the way that it goes and how people treat each other, because that's the biggest problem when you start dabbling with people from around the world, social media, and you start having hundreds of people watching something or participating in the group. It's easy for that group to just like really go into a very bad direction. And I'm trying to avoid that. And honestly, all the moderators that we have right now, if you see anything out of the ordinary, don't hesitate to take action. At worst, or at least, if you're not sure, just tell me. Say, hey, what do you think about that? And so we had quite a few little things like that. We had what was apparently Brother Stare getting into the Facebook group. Yeah, right. Come on. I deleted somebody that I blocked this week. So some of you might have seen there was a guy claiming that he was from Wuhan, China, where the outbreak of the coronavirus is happening. And wait, don't you hate it when you just is this close to sneeze, but it doesn't happen? So, anyways. Okay, it happened. So, first of all, I know that there are ways to divert, and I know that there are some Chinese that use VPNs, but even that is complicated because in China, every VPN provider needs to be registered with the government. So that means the VPNs in China are flawed by default. So you can't, Chinese population is not on Facebook. You have their own social media there. And YouTube is not visible from Chinese mainland. They have their own YouTube style site. So, and coupled with the fact that, and maybe that's an indication for moderators also to follow. So that user actually registered on Facebook February 17th, 16th, 2020. Became a member on the same day or the day after. I mean, it looks all made up and fake from the beginning. I mean, some of you might be new Facebook viewers because you decided to go on Facebook just because for the Facebook group that I have. And I understand that, it's not because you opened a Facebook account just now that you're a fake user. But that one was like, too many things that are really, really out of the ordinary. Too many things that are like, yeah, It's kind of weird, you just open an account and you say you're in Wuhan, China. Yeah, right. Come on. Okay. There's a limit to my to me being gullible into stuff. So as you see, that Facebook group is watched closely by a bunch of great guys, and it's the same name as the channel here, official SWL channel, and it is the best place in the world. People share what they're listening to, pictures of their radios, ask questions. It's a really nice bunch of knowledgeable people to help out, of people listening around the world and showing what they hear. I'm actually amazed, and I find one of the things that I find really fun is to see everybody around the world, everywhere, sharing what they hear in their part of the world, which is totally different from what we hear in North America or Europe. I find that super amazing. It's a lot of fun to watch. So, join the group, answer the radio questions, because unless I know you, because I've bypassed that, because there's a couple of people that didn't answer the radio questions, and I knew you were, so I approved because I knew. And by the way, for any moderators, if you don't know, just leave them there. I'll take care of it and just look at these entries and see if I approve or not. Of their membership in our group. Hey, we're at 500 and like 518, 19 today. Pretty nice for a group that's just barely 2 months old, and it's a lot of fun to have that. I share some of the stuff that I listen to, some of my comments. It was fun last night. Last night I was listening to, of course, the portables that I received, and of course I had to receive two beautiful portables and receive them in the night where shortwave was kind of crappy. So I went into medium wave, and even medium wave was crappy. So I was like, yeah, okay, wow, two new radios, but not the best day to test them out. So, anyways, I posted about, I went, because when I saw the propagation was weird, started looking at the propagation, at the all the geomagnetic storm, and what is happening with the solar index, the solar indices. And I that's where I saw that a minor geomagnetic storm was kind of brewing. Now I understood why shortwave was crappier than usual, especially here, as we are more to the north, closer to the pole than say somebody in Florida that might not notice as much the effect of the geomagnetic storming happening. So I posted that information, and I got a few comments of, well, thanks for letting me know, because I was wondering if it was my equipment, which always reminds me of my story from the 80s when I started with my shortwave listening. I still remember tuning 15575 for Voice of Korea, or Radio Korea, sorry. And Radio Korea back then is what today we call the KBS World Radio from South Korea. And I remember hearing, South Korea really well in English in the morning on 15575. And 2 days later, I tried to listen to it again, and nothing's there. And I'm thinking, okay, my antenna's broken. What happened to my wire? It's just a wire. How come it's broken? And I went outside and I took out the wire and put a new wire, changed even the wire, went to buy a new wire. Well, I didn't know back then that shortwave was not like AM radio or FM radio. I didn't know that, solar activity affects propagation. And there was probably something brewing on the sun that I didn't know of, because I had no idea. We don't think about these things. You turn on a radio, you hear a signal. You don't think that there's tons of things around you that can affect the signal propagation. And so, I think about it today. It's like, wow, I thought my antenna was broken. And it might sound dumb for some people, but you know what? It's not. It's when you don't know. What do you think is the first thing comes to your mind when you have no idea that this is possible? And for 2 days in a row, you listen to, say, Voice of Vietnam with a great signal. Day number three, Voice of Vietnam isn't there. Comes through your mind? Do you think, oh, propagation must be the problem? For a lot of people that have no idea exactly what it's all about, it's okay. Is my radio broken? It's brand new. Is my radio now broken? Or is there something wrong with my antennas? That's the first thing we think. We think our equipment is faulty. We don't think that, oh, well, there was a solar flare or there's a geomagnetic storm or the transmitter might be off of the air. So that was fun because just that information yesterday gave me and showed me the importance of the Facebook group because my knowledge and my posting had a few people react and say, okay, now I understand why it's not up to par to what I was thinking. Same thing this afternoon. Started talking about, somebody was asking about the SDR play and wanted to buy it on eBay, the RSP1A. And I said, well, you're in the United States, buy it direct from HRO, Ham Radio Outlet, rather than, eBay. When it's not, when the price is pretty much the same, my take on everything that we buy, when the price is the same, try to buy it locally. Try to buy it in your neck of the woods, in a store, maybe in your own country that has it, rather than buying it on eBay or Amazon. And even eBay, you're better on Amazon than on eBay, maybe. It depends on what you're buying, and of course, if all fails and you got nobody else, okay, now get it off of eBay. But I would say, just look at local outlets before anything else. So, it's fun to see that we can help each other. And that was something that I would have found so amazing when I started listening to radio. In the 80s, I knew nobody that listened to shortwave. In the 80s, I had no idea what shortwave was all about except the several pages of my DX100 book explaining in a very, very brief paragraph what everything is all about. And it did help, but I had no one to teach me. I had no idea what I was going into. There's so many things I needed to know I did not know. But because I'm a guy that likes to experiment, well, I try things. I remember putting up my first wire antenna and taping it to the ceiling of the living room with my mom looking with like, what the hell are you doing? We just painted and you're actually putting a wire taped to the ceiling of the living room. And it's like, yeah, but I'm going to listen to stations even further away. I'm going to hear more. And it's funny because my mom was like, unless I break the house down, my mom was like, yeah, just do what you want. As long as everything's all right. Okay. As long as you don't break something. Okay. If you break something, it's another story. But if you don't break anything, yeah, okay. Whatever. Do it. Whatever. So, it reminds me of my first CB dipole when I got my my TRC 432 Navajo base station. I was 14 years old. I didn't have any money. At 14 years old, you don't have any money. And of course, I had it as a gift. But your parents don't think about something very important. Oh, look at that. He's going to have a CB radio. It's going to be fun. Yeah, thanks, Dad. Did you kind of know that you need an antenna for that to work, and of course that didn't cross their minds, and I didn't bother saying anything. And I was pretty much tech savvy already, electronic savvy and so on. And I knew about antennas and stuff a little bit because of the shortwave stuff. And I remember I just took out my calculator and I said, okay, how big is a quarter wave dipole centered on channel 27205? And I took out some coax with the connector. I took up some wire. Of course, I taped it to the ceiling of the living room. And I called, I said, hello, anybody listening? And behold, somebody on like channel 4 answered back, says, hey, yeah, I'm hearing you. And I remember I said, well, where are you? I'm in Montreal at this spot. And he said, wow, you got a good signal. I'm in Saint Agathe, which was a city up north about, 70, 80 kilometers away. And I was like, I'm talking to a guy in Saint Agathe with a CB radio. Saint Agathe is very high level, by the way. And that guy was, I don't know what antenna he had, but that guy was a regular here in Montreal, easy to listen to. So it helped out that he had a good setup also. But these are little things that you gotta have the drive. I mean, it's easy to just, and I think today that's the biggest problem for a lot of people today, having to make an effort to do something is already too much. Today they want to have everything done and it has to work. But it doesn't work like that. You got to find why and you got to look at why and you got to. Anyways, I'm going to stop rambling. We're already 22 minutes into the show. Welcome, everybody. Nice to have you here. And I hope that I don't look too crappy. Rather, I look tired. When I look at myself in the image, I look tired. And by the way, don't say anything. I know that the stream is kind of stuttering. There's kind of a slowdown every number of, I don't know what, seconds. We'll try to fix that. We'll leave it like that for now. At least the stream works. A beautiful chat room. If you want to chat with others, it's really, really a nice place to be. And thanks everybody for being great fans. John W., nice to have you here from East Tennessee. Matt in chilly and snowy Denver. Nice to have you here. Pretty cold tonight. It's minus 8 right now, but it's going to go down to, I think, minus 18, 0 Fahrenheit tonight. And it's pretty windy. Off the cliff, Mike. Nice to have you on board from frozen northern Minnesota. Dan Robinson. Nice to have you on board. And waiting for interesting conversation of the 909X and the MLA 30 discussion. Bobby Burgess. Nice to have you here. W85107 SWL from Morgan City, Louisiana, USA. Kevin Wood. Nice to have you here from Nova Scotia. Linux DOS. Nice to have you on board from New Brunswick, Canada. Texas Bandscan, a.k.a. Ecadarius. Nice to have you on board. And you got a new channel. Cool. Have fun doing it. That's the basics. Just have fun doing it. And who knows what it's going to do. Bob. Nice to have you here from Massachusetts. And he loves this radio community. It is an amazing and really great community. That's why, because the reason why is we just kind of dish out and remove all the things that are annoying us and keep all the good people that are here for fun and love of radio and nothing else. Moonfest Madness, nice to on board. Matambale, yeah, you guys had some amazing storms in the UK, pretty crazy. Matambale, nice to have you on board from chilly, snowy south of Denver. But you're in Denver, but I'm talking about the UK. but that's it. That's okay. That's UK. Okay. I'm mixed up here. I was reading like two things at the same time. So you're in the UK, Moonfest Madness. I know you guys had the really big storms. Matam Bali, nice to have you here from Colorado. Anybody hearing 4980? Yeah. Let me check it out. Sorry, I might sneeze quite a lot during the show. 4080, I believe, is there's part of 4080 is WRMI, I think. Let me just check it out here. Oh, man. 4980, 4980, 0. So, no, okay, I got only China here. What did it sound like? Here's PBS Xinjiang from China. Did it sound Chinese? Or kind of? Language says UI, so it must be some kind of local language there. But 4980 says, wasn't WRMI on 4980 at some point? So here I got nothing at 026. But I pretty much think that WRMI used that frequency for a while. Bob says, all quiet in the New England front. So, okay. Halmesam, nice to have you here. If it's in Portuguese, 6180 kilohertz was Radio Nacional Amazona. And that's what I hear right now. Radio Nacional Amazona in Brazil with a really good signal in Portuguese. You can actually compare it to 11780, the same program. So 6180 is Radio Nacional Amazonas in Brazil. Chuck Yunkin, nice to have you here. Bob has a Drake R8B. Hope to get it back soon. You need to get back into the shortwave hobby with a radio like that. Okay? You really need to. So, what else do we have? Brent, nice to have you here from Brockville, Ontario, Canada. James Powers, nice to have you here from Derry, New Hampshire. KC1ENJ. D-Raf, nice to have you on board from Kingston, New York. Rob from Phoenix, Arizona. Almesam, yep, 6180 Radio Nacional Amazona. Mike Hill, nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas. Jersey Bound, nice to have you here from New Jersey. Crittenden Tuttle 4, nice to have you on board. Where are you located? Kevin Wood has 6180, quite good. Yeah, it's pretty good here too. Brazil is really strong. Actually, 49 meters is booming tonight. Really strong signals on 49 meters right now. Jeff King, nice to have you here from Jacksonville, Florida. We have. Let me just try to go down as fast as I can. Okay. I'm just a little. Okay, here we go. So we have Vince Perrault. Bonjour, Vince. Bienvenue. Jane Dagger, nice to have you on board from the Mojave Desert. Texas Bandscan from the Lone Star State. Rodolfo 65 from New York City. Nice to have you here. Larry P from rainy Georgia. Here it's cold and windy Montreal. Jocelyn Minton or Jolyn Minton. Nice to have you on board from the top of Texas. She'll get sick. I thought you were immortal. Oh, man. Rufus Newt, nice to have you here from the Laurentian Valley, Ontario. Matt says 7315 never really all good here. You know, it might be that it's really made for eastern part of North America. It's interesting because, by the way, I noticed this. If you guys remember last year in the A19 schedules, 7315 was alternating for 3 hours on 7315. It was 0 English, 030 Vietnamese, 01 English, 130 Vietnamese, 02 English, 0230 Vietnamese. Now it's 30 minutes English. All the rest is Vietnamese. Moonfest Madness hearing tones 3829 upper sideband. But it's not from Vietnam, Jane Dagger. It comes from WHRI in the east coast of the U.S. Jim from Rhode Island. Nice to have you here. Jerry DX. Nice to have you on board. Handy Coley. Nice to have you here. Pretty cool to have everybody on board. Matt has the same C Crane radio. Yeah, I saw your comment yesterday when I was posting a video. Jeff Barrett, nice to have you here, my friend. Prasad from India, nice to have you on board. Pretty cool to have everybody around the world. Rufus Dude, you have those radios on Paul's chair. Is he evaluating them? He decided to play with them, and I graciously got them for a few hours for the show, but he wants them back. Trond, nice to have you here from Norway. Texas Brandscan loves my Facebook group. Ham Radio Fun says good old Facebook. Nice to have you here. Zachary Antle. You feel okay? And you know what? Apart from a kind of a congestion here, it's a lot better today than it was on Monday. Monday was sleep, up for 20 minutes, tired. Let's go back to sleep. And I need to do a couple of videos to talk about stuff. And once the videos were online, it was like, okay, sleep. And it was, like aching everywhere. It was like horrible. I was like, I hope I get better soon or fast because I'm not doing any live shows this week. Yesterday, I felt already better, but tired. Actually, it started Sunday. Sunday when I went to CKUT. I actually didn't feel well in the morning. I was at CKUT studio, and I didn't feel like my usual self for a Sunday morning. And it's so funny because I had kind of a moment where I was like, "Well, I feel like I'm in a hungover of some kind of night, and I was home all night last night, so it can't be that." And I probably already felt kind of not really good, and I actually came back home and stayed home all day Sunday, which was a good idea. Today it's not too bad. I would say my energy level is back at like 90%, but it definitely it's not still to the normal level that I am. Gord Dunker, nice to have you here. Nick Mayakovsky, nice to have you here. Moonfest Madness says the Facebook page rocks. Tron says, hello, Elizabeth. Hey, I haven't checked. How can I forget to check for Elizabeth? So we have Elizabeth that says, hello, everybody. It's nice to be here again. I hope you're feeling better, Joe. It's really sad to hear when you are sick. I hope that you get well soon. Take care. We have also Jean-Marc from France saying, I'm not a social guy, so I'm not on Facebook. I don't participate in the chat room. And it's all in French. I'm kind of translating. But he says he loves the live shows that I do every week, and the videos help him tremendously. Thank you very much. And he says, why am I not doing live shows in French? Yeah, I know I get asked that all the time. And it's so weird, but I actually feel so much more comfortable doing live shows in English. And even though my first initial native language is French, it's weird. It's those weird things of life sometimes. Ham radio fun. Try working with the public. Oh man, I can tell you one thing. I was a tech guy for 15 years. I can tell you, I know what working with the public is all about. I don't want to do that again. Arthur's Alley Crafter's Kitchen. Nice to have you on board. Just finished setting up a pair of realistic MC 1000 speakers at Savers for $5. Cool. I like that. When you go somewhere, I there's a couple of places here around Montreal that are like, thrift stores or whatever. And I never go there. But one of my friends goes there all the time. And I remember one day going to his place and I look at him and said, "Do you really have like 8 Commodore 64s?" And he says, "Yeah. Bought them at the thrift store. They were $2 each." And I said, "Really?" And he had the drives, he had everything. And I was like, "Man, I need to go there more often. Maybe I'd find stuff." Oh man. What else do we have? Sorry for the weird noises of my sickness. Ame Sam has 7570. Brother Stare. Say S9 plus 30. Chris Coley, nice to have you here. Jeff King, 100 car pileup, 69 injured in Montreal. Yeah, I know. People drive like they are in summer in the middle of a storm. So that's what happens. People are just dumb on the road. Matt says, we had that guy Ralph Stare apply for a group and of course turned him down. Fake profile. But um I saw him post a comment in another group and had to laugh. Some people really thought it was him. Yeah, I know it's sometimes it's I don't know. I don't think Brother Stare takes the time to do that anyways. Mika Delmage, nice to have you here from Alberta, Canada. If you lose your voice, you can always send Morse code. Ah. Beep, 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 beep. Randy, Riverside, California. Nice to have you here. Dave Todd from Niagara, Ontario. Nice to have you on board. YouTube won't let you type. Weird. Moonfest Madness added 2 more smaller loops to his MLA30. Now I'm getting good VHF and higher HF. Interesting. I'm waiting for my number 3 MLA30, which I plan to take apart and do so much experimenting with it. So I think it's going to be fun. Bob's been listening since his late teens, DXCB in the late 70s with his Radio Shack DX160. Gord Dunker, 0 sunspots. Yeah, but they're going to come back soon. I rather have 0 sunspots than a big geomagnetic storm, honestly. If conditions are quiet with 0 sunspots, you still have propagation. The ERAF medium wave has been awful the past week or so. So, yeah, Moonfest Madness. We actually, what happened is the sun had a coronal hole, which was not very big, but sometimes when the Earth and the sun, the Earth's magnetic field is positioned in a specific way, makes it easier for some of the solar wind to get through. That's kind of what happened last night. Yeah, Linux DOS, that's what everybody's telling me. It's like, yeah, you got that coronavirus stuff. You guys are going to laugh, but a week ago, I took the bus, and there was a Asian-looking guy with a face mask. And, of course, when I started feeling really bad on Monday, I had his image in my head all the time. That Asian-looking guy with a mask in the bus. but he didn't look sick, you know. Oh man. Yeah, Moonfest Madness. We did have a few sunspots, absolutely. What else do we have? What else do we have? I'm gonna try to go a little faster. That's the fun of radio, Gord Dunker. Sometimes a band will open up, and you know what? You never know what happens. Man. Gaetan Belil, bonsoir. Nice to have you here, my friend. Yeah, Matt, those were the days. The only thing I remember when I actually learned about solar activity, I learned that I had to listen to the 18th minute. And I remember I also had learned that, they changed that and put the new report at 21 UT. So at 21:18, I was almost every day in front of the radio, hoping to get a good catch of WWV for um listen to the solar report to know what happened. Hey, William Helms, nice to have you on board from Florida. What else do we have? Dan Robinson says conditions now really bad. Even the strong Brazilian frequencies are terrible. That's weird. I've got 6180 really good. Let me try 11780. It's not as good, but it's like a solid S8, S9. Propagation seems to be closer to normal tonight on most frequencies. Looking at the frequencies and what signals are there. What else do we have? 45 unit. We had it tough before the internet. Yes, we had to learn stuff in books, and no one would help us out. It was like a jungle. Now today, people help us out, but give us fake news to help us out. So it's not better. Sam, I found the RSP1A better price HRO than on Amazon. Yeah, it's possible. You gotta shop around. You gotta shop around for these things. Brian Penny, nice to have you here from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. You know what, Matt? I almost never purchased a shortwave radio related device on Amazon because I've never had one that was priced, decently. Dan Robinson, thanks for your on the money assessment of 909X. Could have been a superb radio. Had Sanjian decided to revise it. I'll have something about that. I'm just gonna try to join the bottom of the chat because I'm like 25 minutes behind. But I learned something very interesting because I read, and when I get something last night while I was listening to shortwave and medium wave with the Sanjian, I read. I read the manual, of course, that I have. I read the actual. I downloaded the PDF service manual, and I read 6 different reviews, including one from Monitoring Times magazine at the time. And I learned tons of things on the radio that I did not know about because I had never really taken the time to read more about the ATX 909X. So it's kind of interesting. We're gonna you guys might learn something on that. Kevin Jane Apollo, nice to have you here from Point Beach, New Jersey, WS2H. He's the guy behind the 2 radios, the Sanjian and the CC radio shortwave. Thank you so much, my friend. Gord Dunker, yeah. When parents let you, don't break anything, as long as you don't break anything, you can do something. I got to say, these are good parents. I did break stuff, but like we all did. What did we do? We broke stuff, but we hid them so they didn't see until one day. I remember one day I had broken my dad had a wooden barometer hung on the wall. And when I was actually putting wires up, one of my wires slid down the wall and was kind of behind the top of the barometer. I did not see that. So when I pulled the wire for something, the barometer just flew across the room and the glass in front of the barometer broke. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? So I actually I shoved the barometer in one of the in one of the drawers that we had, and months went by without nobody noticing that the barometer is missing off the wall. And one day I hear, Gilles, viens ici. Gilles, come here. It was like, and I see the barometer with the broken glass. It's like, did you do this? Yeah, I kind of broke. Yeah, I kind of broke the barometer. Yes, Oh man. Gordon Dunker is in the Yukon, 30 kilometers from the Arctic Circle. Yeah, the closer to the poles you are, uh, the more it's complicated. Dave says, did the TV like the CB dipole and ceiling? Oh, especially channel 2. I would just take the microphone and do just climb the microphone. And channel 2 on the TV would all go berserk. I would hear myself in the Sears. I could hear myself in the Sears stereo that my dad had. Actually, even more interesting, when I would talk, when the Sears stereo was off, the view meters for the sound that always with the little needle, they would actually go up half scale. It was kind of generating some currents inside the device. And when I was amazed. I was like, wow, look at that. And I would just, stop and the needles would go back to zero. Things you learn when you're young. Moonfest Madness 80s was pretty epic for radio. Yeah. Rob says, I enjoy all your rambles. They make the show great. Oh, man. Kevin has a Galaxy 959B. Just looking at me. I really should set it up. You should. You need to. Marcos Polizzelli. Nice to have you here. PU2842 from Brazil. Hey, F. Blassie. Nice to have you here from the Philippines. Nice to have you on board, my friend. From all the way from the Philippines. Tony Turtle. Nice to have you here. Dave O'Toole from Dublin, Ireland. Nice to have you here. Ham Radio Fun is M0GIA. Dr. Sisup, nice to have you on board. CQDX. Tom DXer, nice to have you on board from the Hudson Valley, New York. Lucky Smits, nice to have you on board. What's up, Captain Paul Watson? Pretty good. I just wish I'll be a little better. What else do we have? Oh, it was 4080. I didn't read it well then. It was 4080. Well, it could be a pirate. There's a lot of pirates around 4080, 40, anywhere from 4050 to 4150. Lots of pirates around there. Yeah, Dan Robinson, you're right. I remember the other day seeing somebody on 5010 saying, hey, I'm hearing Uruguay or whatever, or Bolivia. Like, no, you're listening to WRMI in Spanish. Don't get your hopes up. Larry Stevens, nice to have you here. Let's try to get a little faster here. In Newark, Ohio, 93.95. Let's check it out here. 93.95 is very good here in Montreal, actually. 93.95 and 9455, both WRMI frequencies are very strong into Montreal. Maybe they're skipping over you or something. What else do we have? Let me try to Buzz Gould. Nice to have you here from Minnesota. Uh, 6185 Mexico. Am I hearing it here? 6185. I'm actually getting it here at about S8, S7, S8. It's interfered a lot with Brazil and 6180, but I'm hearing 6185. If I put myself in upper sideband, it's actually off frequency. 6185.7. 6 or 7. What else do we have? Dr. Sisop, 27 megahertz, been dead. No you skip lately. Linux DOS is taking apart old hard drives and saving the magnets for friends. Hey, Jay Jolie, nice to have you on board from Mexico. Paul is in the living rooms. Not the living room, he's in the bedroom sleeping. So nice to have you on board, my friend. From Mexico, Kamexi 1976. Nice to have you here. Let's try to get that to Joey D. They did a fake Brother Stare really post on the group page. He didn't have time to post. We removed him before he did. David, KJ4CMY, nice to have you on board from the middle of Georgia. Rogelio Fernandez, Radio Havana, Cuba strong on 6060 after 6 p.m. in Las Vegas. Oh, really, Dr. Sisop? So South Carolina, Florida, South Carolina, California, Oregon, Washington, Texas, New Hampshire, and Maine. So they're going to stop changing times. I like to stay on the time zone. I like that we stay on the summertime. The daylight savings time, because the summertime is kind of fun. The sun sets at 9 p.m. We should stay there. Brian Weitenheimer, nice to have you here. Joseph Aikenbaum says English is very international language, so you'll probably reach more folks. But you know what's interesting, Joseph, is that I did a test on one channel once and posted a dozen French language videos, and they all have close to 1 million views each. And I sometimes think about that maybe I did miss out on something by not having a French side to the stuff that I'm doing. Frank C, nice to have you here. Yes, I've been to China. I've got the coronavirus. Jean-Marc Letts, bonjour et bienvenue de Strasbourg en France. James Farley, nice to have you here. Danny Shortwave Radio DX says drifting is the best. I need to do it more. Arthur's Alley Crafter's Kitchen got his Kenwood R2000 and Really Stick DX200 at Goodwill. I need to go to the thrift stores. Yeah, maybe I do. Maybe I need to do it more. Absolutely. So anything else here? Well, Mesa 5850, Radio Slovakia via WRMI 5850. Yeah, pretty good here too. 5850 Slovakia via the Okeechobee transmitter site. Gaetan Belias, so you really believe in the virtues of the MLA30 for shortwave? So I totally believe because I've been using it and it's an amazing antenna. But the thing is, and I'm going to say hi to David Provo from Sarasota, Florida, Stephen Wood from Pretty Mount Cape Cod. Nice to have you here. So you always need to put in perspective. You compare it to what exactly? So if you compare it to a long wire, say you got a 150 feet of wire outdoors in a very quiet environment, I think you will not be really impressed with the MLA30 because you already have a pretty good antenna because it's quiet, and the longer the wire in general, the better to get the signals. The MLA30, that's where it needs to be understood. You know what? I was actually reading a interesting group today. I stumbled upon a group of AM radio operators that talk about gear for radio. And I looked at the threads, and what of course made me click is one ham radio operator had the title MLA30 cheap Chinese antenna, and the rest of the name was fake Chinese junk. I was like, what? And you know what? It was the crappiest group that you could see from comments because people were commenting, but no one actually had tried it. No one had actually tested it. So they were all like, well, it can be like a W6 LVP loop. That's what I'm going to buy next. It can be like, so you are thinking that something cannot be like that thing based on it comes from China and costs $50. And I was reading the comments, and it was like, yeah, so you're all going to spend hundreds of bucks for nothing on an antenna that is not even better than the MLA30. And I'm sorry, the W6 LVP loop antenna is not better than the MLA30. And I will never buy one again, and will never recommend anybody buy one. I'm sorry. That's it. I got both of them here. I can attest. But you got to put in context that active loop antennas are for a very specific crowd. And if you understand that, that's where it shines. It's for a crowd like me. It's for a crowd of people that lives in a high noise environment that, I got a 80 feet sloper in the backyard. It's useless. It's too noisy. But I got the MLA30 and I listen to signals I can't even get on the sloper. So in a high noise urban environment, totally, MLA30 is the best antenna you can buy for the price, and it works really well, and it really brings in those signals. From what I see, David Provo, is that my friend that goes to the thrift store, he actually goes there very, very often. And from what I understand, if you go there once a month or a couple of times a month, you often will not find anything special. He goes, for a while he was off work. I think he went there every day, and that's where he found the stuff. Rebel Foxy, my thoughts on the cheap RTL SDR: stay away from them. They're not worth the money. Joseph, the media is infiltrated my mind. Asian looking guy. You go, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You're totally right on that. Because he's an Asian looking guy with a mask. Of course. What the hell do you think? The first thing we think of is what? It's that. You know? So Jeff Barrett, nice to have you here. No, don't buy one, Rebel Fox. You're gonna waste your money and not have a lot of fun with it. Texas Vanscan, does Paul like snow? Nope, he hates the snow. I have to actually shovel a little path for him to go outside, or else he doesn't. Roberto Rojas, ¿cómo está mi amigo desde Argentina? Chin chin, mi amigo. Welcome aboard. Nicholas Heyer, nice to have you here from West Indiana, USA. Nick, K9XN. Rebel Feisty was listening to Radio New Zealand last night. Cool. Danny Shortwave, exactly. I spent so many times. So I'm just gonna get another beer, guys. So I know it's not supposed to, but beer does make me feel better, actually. So when I was young, I lived very close to the library, and so I would go to the library all the time, and of course, every time. And public libraries don't get radio books every day. They get radio books from time to time, like astronomy books. They would get one from time to time. They weren't the most popular books in the library. Everybody wanted the latest Stephen King or stuff like that. So I was so happy every time I would see a new radio book or something. And I probably have read every radio book that was in that library. Funny little thing. I went to that library last year. It was the first time in maybe 10 or 15 years. I had to go to the place where I remember they had the radio books. And the books are still in the same exact spot, in the same exact shelf in the library. And they have the same old junk from 1945 or something. It's like, yeah, how to have a 2-tube receiver work and how to listen to what is the brand new FM band now. Yeah, that sounds good. They had the same old books, nothing new, nothing different. It was like, wow, this is depressing. What else do we have? Matt says Texan radios tend to be well priced on Amazon. I got mine. Yeah, it depends on what you buy. Some receivers are. I've seen also some Ethon receivers priced okay. Sometimes even having a really good price, actually. But you got to be careful. A lot of stuff on Amazon is way overpriced. Dr. Sisop. Well, all of that is now getting better, Dr. Sisop. Not untrue. Everything that I ordered, I had like 8 different orders from from China, and they all shipped this week, which means that there's no more suspension of packages. So they're starting to get things back in order. Even my MLA30 that had been like waiting for a while is now working, and I have adapters, I have all sorts of things, and I even got some. I even have some of them that actually came back to me and say, we're getting things back to normal now. So the delays are slowly getting moving away. They're starting to really ship stuff once again. Mitch, nice to have you here in Buckeye, Arizona. Nice to have you here. Where you located, Dan Robinson? Forgot. Because up here, all the Brazilians are very strong, like usual. What else do we have? Joey D, you can't get CB radio interference anymore now with digital TV, can you? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Depends on the frequencies they're using. William Powell, yes. Jeff Barrett, the barometer is like the memes in the past Christmas where someone put Yoda in their moms. Yeah, you know. What's on 9666? It's that Brazilian one, voice Missionaria. It's 9665 that something. It's always off frequency, actually. Let me check it out here. It's there. It's 966. Wow, they're really 1 kilohertz. Usually they're 9665.7 or 8. That is Voz Missionaria from Brazil. And it's on 9666, about S7 here, too, tonight. So Voz Missionaria from Brazil. Laura Bird, nice to have you here from Scotland. What else do we have? What else do we have? Matambali is 6180, Radio Nacional Amazona. We're excellent, but a little fluttery. DEFCON, salut. Nice to have you here. What do we have? Oh, me, Sam, S8.5 noise floor in my apartment. Radio Exterior de España, S9 plus 10. I was listening to the English and French language program just before the show started on the good old and good nice Stangy and ATS 909X here that we're going to talk about. Stephen Wood, my plans for the Shortwave Fest is that I'm going to be here. There's something that prevents me from going. And so I tried to work things around to be there. And it's impossible for me. So what's going to happen is we're going to have a live Skype feed on Friday, February 28th at the 20-hour UTC live show. So with Sheldon, we're going to arrange a live Skype like last year, where it's going to show us around the Shortwave Festival. So that's how it's going to work out on. So mark your calendars, guys. February the 28th, 20 hours UTC, 3 p.m. Eastern. We will have a Skype with Sheldon down in Pennsylvania at the Shortwave Winterfest. So what else do we have? What else do we have? Endless winter. No, we don't want to have endless winter. Kevin Wood, yep, 9666 is was Missionaria Brazil. It's off. It's always off frequency. It's actually what takes it away. It's always voice Missionaria because it's always off frequency. So 9666, they actually are now 1 full kilohertz off frequency. Hey, have fun and hope they're, hope it's good. I had Shepherd's Pie. So Matambali is having homemade calzones. Bon appetit. What else do we have? What else do we have? What else do we have? Dropping out like what? I mean, Sam, the MLA30 puts to shame all the wires I have taped to the ceiling. Belcoli Karim, bonjour de la France. Welcome aboard. Yes, I did, Matt. One of the first things I did was, and actually on the RSPDX, I did it. I actually put the sloper on one of the antenna inputs, and it's the sloper now is almost useless. Honestly, noise is worse now than ever. Honestly, if I would have only a sloper, I'm starting to wonder if I would really have a live show and a channel talking about shortwave unless I do everything from outside because it's crazy. Hunter Carver, nice to have you here. Jeff Scott, I got it. MLA 30, thank you, sir. You're gonna have fun. What else do we have? Don't drink Corona beer. Oh man, Bobby, March edition of the TSM is next week, right? I would guess by the end of the week, probably. Spectrum Monitor usually is, if it, with the March 1st falling on a Sunday, it's probably going to be here like on the Friday, February 28th or something. So, Gerd Dunker, I love astronomy. I used to have a 6-inch reflector and do a lot of astronomy. Kimberly, K6YYL from California. Nice to have you on board. What else do we have? Can anyone direct me to a bias T inserter that I can use just the USB to power it? For what antenna or device, Bobby, actually? Because the MLA30's bias T inserter is actually a USB driven. It comes with a micro to regular USB connector, and you can actually power it off a computer. Or that's what I was doing. I was using my old iPhone 5's little white cube power supply on it. Ron Deming, nice to have you here. Dan V, bonjour, nice to have you here from Northwest Ohio. And 8WJZ. No, that's not warm beer, I can tell you. It's pretty cold, actually. I keep it cold all the time, Jeff. Linux DOS, not everything has the option of putting up huge wires and stuff. Yeah, not everybody can. G Brown 1, nice to have you here. And when you don't have that option, the MLE30 is actually a cheap, really good alternative for that. Nicholas Heyer says main cell HF global command with quick tests on 4724 just now. So what you could do on Mesam is put an MLA30 in the window inside. A lot of people do it and seem to have pretty good results. Michael Satterfield, nice to have you on board from South Carolina, K4AFT. Keegan, Northwest Arkansas, 48 degrees Fahrenheit. That says, yep, nice. That Skype show was cool last time. So we're going to have the same on Friday, February 28th. I'm going to hook up with Sheldon down in Pennsylvania. You know what, Matt? Here in Canada, we are so weird. So, here in Canada, they made the transition to metric at some point in the 80s, late 70s and 80s. And in school, so I'm the first generation in school that was taught in met- the metric system. My brother was taught in a mixed metric and imperial measures. And but my parents always spoke in feet, inches, Fahrenheit, and whatever in pounds. So I'm kind of that weird mixed up guy. So for example, I like my temperature in Celsius. I will order some ham by the pound. I weigh 204 pounds. I don't know what that is in kilograms. um, I will measure something in meters or centimeters, not inches, although I can convert them quite easily. The measuring, like measuring the distance, my I can really easily, I know that 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters, stuff like that. So that I can convert quite easily. I might have a hard time with temperatures, but I'm not very far off usually. But if you ask me what 204 pounds is in kilograms, I'm going to tell you I have no idea. But I know that 2.2 pounds for each kilogram. So I'm kind of all messed up in my head with all of that because of my parents plus what school taught me. It's crazy. William Helms, 5910. Am I hearing it first of all here? 5910 is a weak signal for me, not very strong. And if we look at 5910, oops, 5910. Yeah, I guess it's Radio Romania and Romanian to the eastern part of North America. It's not making it very well tonight. East-west signals seem to be weaker than usual. So propagation is not up to all it could be, I guess. Mike Ill, noper for the sloper. I like that. Keegan has reception on his dad, W9JEF ICOM IC7300 transceiver. Take care, Texas Bandscan. Jean-Marc Letts on 20 SDR 6180 with not very strong Radio Nacional Amazona under medium strong signal from Radio China English. So, this is DOS. My Ethon Grundig Satellite 750 has been repaired. Picking it up Saturday. Fixed the audio board, new volume, tone, and bass pots. Cool. J Brown 7315 is Vietnamese, actually. It's not Chinese. It's Voice of Vietnam, so it's Vietnamese. But it might sound like Chinese for a lot of people. Yeah, the original RSP1 does not have the bias T. That's true. Ron Deming, Gel, go north. Shibugamo, my guess, a lot less noise. Oh, that for sure, for sure. But a lot more bugs, a lot more animals, and a lot more snow and cold. Christian Amestigi, nice to have you here from La Paz, Bolivia. Cool. Michael Langer, no problem. Nice to have you here. Dan VS KMOX 1120, big signal in St. Louis, Missouri. John McClure, nice to have you here. Kimberly made a nice contact with FM8QR from Martinique. in Southern California. And another contact to Brazil on 10-meter phone. Wow, that is so cool. Ranjit Darnal, nice to have you here from Nepal. 7 a.m. over there. Good morning, my friend. So while I'm having my beer, because here it's 8:20 p.m., you're having your morning coffee. That's pretty much it. Nice to have you on board. Current IT guy, nice to have you here. Yeah, builders, a lot of them work in feet and inches. Absolutely. They'll get into a room and it's like, well, that's 12 feet and 5 inches and blah blah blah. Absolutely. We really have a mixed bag here. It's kind of a half the conversion to metric worked halfway. I would guess the young generation today, because I remember being at the I think it was I was at the butcher, and the lady in front of me was like 18, 19-year old, and I heard her distinctly saying, I want to have 300 grams of ground beef. And I was like, 300 grams of ground beef. Okay. I get it next to her. It's like, yeah, and I'll take half a pound of ground beef, which is not very far. And honestly, half a pound is like 250 ish, 260 ish grams. I know that. When I go to the store, I know that 454 grams is 1 pound. But I think the young generation is very much more metric. They have moved to that metric thing. Yeah, Gaetan Berlin. Yeah, they 2x4. Absolutely. 2x4s. Absolutely. I remember my dad when he constructed the shack up north when I was young. It's like, yeah, I'll need 2x4s, and I'll take a box of 6-inch nails and whatever. David Martin, nice to have you here from Dallas. Oh man. Yeah, but the technical metric, the real metric based on the basic metric system that is official, is everywhere the same. And the metric side of things, there are things that makes it easier, that's for sure. But it's sad because there's a lot of goof ups that happen because of conversions. I remember one of the robots that went to Mars crashed on the planet, and they later found out that one of the guys forgot to convert the inches to the metric system when they punched in the numbers in the computer. So instead of firing its thrusters above the surface, it actually crashed on the planet before it actually did anything. So, Jean-Marc, let's Radio Canada International English Program also schedule 102 Northeast America, then Chinese. Still hearing RNA? Well, usually when China radio, because it's out of Cuba Relay. So let me check it out here. So right now I got a mix. Almost equal in strength. So I've got China radio via Cuba, and I've got Radio Nacional Amazona. Almost same strength, battling out on 6180 right now, Jean-Marc Letts, which is usually what happens at night. What else do we have? J Bound, well, 7315 is WHRI because it's Voice of Vietnam via WHRI, actually. It's relayed from them. Hi, Comic 40s. Nice to have you on board. 204 pounds, approximately 92.5 kilograms. I'll try to remember that next time they ask me, how much do you weigh in kilograms? Well, frequencies are frequencies are frequencies. I don't know it's kind of metric, yeah. I would guess. I would guess. Um, there's Moonfest Madness, 1:20 a.m. here, and I need coffee. And then you're not going to sleep for the rest of the night because of the live show. Mike Thornton, nice to have you here. WC0L/7 in Arizona. Pretty cool. Matt says, I've been learning grams more because he's doing baking. It's a lot more accurate to weigh ingredients than use a measuring cup. Yeah, absolutely. It is more accurate, that's for sure. Prasad has the metric system here, but the milestone is still a milestone. Ron Hicks, nice to have you here. Conditions on 1480 meters hasn't been that good lately, especially yesterday. Especially yesterday. Mario 330, nice to have you here. Says, fun fact, the standard imperial system has certain official metric standards. Absolutely. You need to have a standard for all of that to work, actually. Joey D. Brother Stairs program's out of whack. Yeah, he has a lot of clips of it's so weird. He has clips from like newsreel and stuff mixed in with his own doomsday message. You know what? Yesterday, because I was testing out the shortwave radios, I ended up listening to Brother Stare for 30 minutes. And he's talking about some kind of doomsday event coming up in May or something. And I was listening to it, and I was listening to his voice, and I was like, how can people be gullible to a point of following that guy? It's crazy. Really crazy. What else do we have? Joey D. So let me just go down. If I miss out on anything, please ask again. Tom is listening on the 131 feet band. I like that. Just to mess up everybody. It's like, yeah, I'm listening to the 485 centimeter band, and it's pretty cool. Okay. Today I was actually listening to the 4,000 centimeter band. Yeah, there's a 4,000 centimeter band in shortwave. Oh God. Or you want to mix it out. Don't use the standards. Use these weird betweens. So it's like I was listening to the 400 decimeter band. Now everybody's just like, huh? The 400 decimeter band? What's that? It's 40 meters. And yet, it's funny how everything for a long time was imperial in inches and feet and whatever. Why is it that even in the 70s, they would say, hey, you're on the 40-meter band? Why didn't somebody come up with like, you're on the 363 inches band? It's like, what? Meters were used for frequencies. So It's weird. We live in a you know what? I've never thought about that, but we live in a very weird world, actually. Man, that's crazy. Mark Stevens, nice to have you on board from work in North Carolina. Yeah, that's not too bad. I still have a little something to get better, but it's not too bad. Prasad says, I read probably in research and development years back, the hard times the plane had due to a shortage of fuel because error in conversions. Yeah, yeah. Oh, man. Crazy. David Martin, Stare is computer generated. It's AI. Brother Stare will live forever. It's an assistant. One day you'll buy the Brother Stare assistant for your home. You guys would buy a shortwave assistant that has Jill's voice on it? It's like, hello, you should wake up because Radio New Zealand will be on the air in the next 3 minutes. Propagation today is pretty good. The K index is at 1, giving a 75% probability that the signal will be on your radio. Jeff Barrett, what's my noise floor on my SDR? It depends on the frequency range. So what frequency are you tuned to have it at 100 minus 110 to 115? I have it I'm on the 49 meter band and I have it at minus 75, minus 80 ish. So that would mean it's noisier here. Well, yeah, I think so. What else do we have? Brent is asking if anyone has experience with noise cancelers for shortwave radio. What I've seen a lot of mixed bag reports on that. Some people saying it's good, some people saying nah, doesn't. I remember being tempted by one of the MFJ boxes that what it does is you put your antenna on one input and you put another antenna on the other input. And what it does is it analyzes the noise on one input and tries to cancel the noise on the other input based on the noise around it. I don't know. Ron Hicks, yeah, Dr. Gene Scott, they played his rebroadcast, and they're still playing some today. I came across one a few weeks ago. But, imagine if Brother Stare's legacy is giving $100 million to all shortwave broadcasters so that Brother Stare will stay for the next 100 years. Oh, man. Oh, God. Michael Lancher says, one I love was the DSP-40. The DSP-40 is not well loved because it's not well understood what it is. So the DSP-40, and you guys that have seen my videos for a long time, remember I have had it all the time on my ICOM ICRD 500. I was using it with my Kenwood R5000. It's a digital signal processor from Radio Shack from the early 90s. Of course, DSP in 1994 is not DSP like in 2020. But you know what? I purchased it because it was on sale. They were like giving away. I paid something like 39 or $29 for it. Brought it home. The first thing that you got to think with the DSP-40 is if you're looking for an amplifier, an audio amplifier that works well. Well, first of all, the DSP-40 is a really good audio amplifier to drive some small speakers. So already there, you're a winner because you got a nice audio amplifier. Great frequency response, works pretty well. But it got audio filters also. And one of the features is a DSP. So when you press a DSP button, some really basic algorithm from the time is analyzing the signal and putting it back, trying to make it better. The DSP side of things wasn't that great because it made a lot of distortion. But the DSP button had one feature that I always loved. It was the automatic notch. When there was a tone, it would just kill it, and not even a second. It was like that thing was amazing. And if you had multiple tones, it would kill all the tones that were on there immediately almost. It was crazy good at that. Plus, the audio filters, you know what? Yes, they are audio filters. They don't perform as well as filters that are within the receiver at the intermediate frequency level, but they did help in many cases in hearing and listening to signals, because you could narrow down the audio frequency to a specific item you wanted to listen to. So many people bashed that DSP-40, saying it was crappy. A lot of ham radio operators actually I've seen saying that was the crappiest thing ever. Yeah, because you don't know what you did. I remember I saw one guy once on a YouTube video explaining how crappy it was. He had the audio of his radio like more than halfway up. It was very strong. And he was claiming how it was distorted in the DSP-40. Yeah, you idiot. It's not supposed to be that strong into the DSP-40. They actually tell you how to do it right if you read the manual. And you are a ham radio operator. Congratulations. Oh, man. It was like, yeah. You know. What else do we have? Guard Dunkard, 400 decimeter band. Oh, man. Matt says almost anybody knows the deci prefix, even though we talk about decibels instead of bells. Yep. Yeah, I remember there was some talk about changing to metric, and they finally never, the US never did it. Oh, man. Crazy. Man. Nicholas Heyer, instead of Alexa, we should have Shell with a propagation report and shortwave program schedule. Yeah, it's like it'd be like, you would say like, okay, Shell. And it was like, hello, Nicholas. In 5 minutes, you will have Voice of America in English with good propagation. The programming will be news, current affairs, in African music show. Also, you can tune to 15580, which will be the best frequency for Botswana to your area. Remember, listen to your radio every day. John Root, nice to have you here. But there's one thing I think that would be good. Having my voice and an assistant. Today, it will be sunny. Temperature will be -5 degrees. I should sell my voice for assistance. Oh, man. This Art Bell got rebroadcasts. So Jeff Barrett is -115 on 49 meters. Okay, I got minus 80, 85 right now. In an empty spot. So we want to know how it works, Matt, because I'm so curious about these devices. Do they really work? Gabatron chills not. Nice to have you here, my friend. What else do we have? I would guess that's a little bit like what Linux DOS says. That depending on the type of noise that you have, You know, you know, you guys have been listening for a long time. Do you guys remember in the good old days when pulse motors and pulse generated noises were a problem on shortwave? Remember how that little noise blanker button on the radios actually works so well in removing that little pulse interference? But today we're in that white noise trash from all the electronics, and it's not the same anymore. Rebel Foxy, I think the best nickname for shortwave I've ever heard was the deep web of the airwaves. It is. It is when you think about it, honestly. It is totally, you know? Oh, man. What else do we have? Ron Hicks, Jill, the first time I ever listened to Alex Jones was on shortwave. Me too. I had never heard of Alex Jones before shortwave. And last week or 2 weeks ago, we were talking about oh man, what his name is, Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh, which is a well-known name in the United States. And we were talking about that because Rush Limbaugh announced that he had a lung cancer, I think. And it's funny because the first time I ever heard Rush Limbaugh was on shortwave. And you know why? Because in the 90s, when propagation was good, WFLA in Tampa Bay, Florida, had an FM relay on 25870. And I would hear it every afternoon. And I was amazed because I had a Kenwood R5000 and I could finally use that FM button because it was an FM mode. And that's the first time ever I heard Rush Limbaugh of all of my life. I mean, here in Canada, Rush Limbaugh is a name nobody knows. At least here in Quebec, I can tell you that. G-Bone 1 would love the ICOM ICR 9500, but doesn't have the money to go with it. You know what? Doesn't matter. You don't need that. Honestly, with the SDRs today, I am less and less inclined to say buy a big gun radio. Of course, if I'd be a millionaire, I would buy one. But even the ICOM ICR is 8600. I have less and less. I'm less inclined to tell people to buy these things. They're really expensive, and the SDRs today are so amazing, honestly. So, Randy Cummings, we want to know how it is. That's one I never tested. The AirSpy. I need to have an AirSpy. If the guys that make the AirSpy HF Plus listen, please send me one for free. I'll try it out and let you know. Can it compare to the RSPDX or the SDR Play devices? What else do we have? Commando 602 from sunny Buckeye, Arizona. Is it still sunny at this time? What else do we have? Oh, really? WRNO had him for a while? I didn't know that. Currents IT guy. So, out of curiosity, what radios do people have in front of you? Do you have? So, of course, the RSPDX is what I have in the screen in front here. And I've got a selection that I will be showing because I've got things to talk about that I haven't even talked about yet. I just got to shut up and talk about them. And that will come after beer number 3, probably. Current IT guy says he is more known in Toronto due to closed media integration. That's possible, though. Because, here in Quebec, we have a very special blend of media in general that does not reflect a lot of what the rest of Canada is in general. Commando 602 met Rush Limbaugh back in the 80s when his dad was took us to his TV show. Okay. Michael Langer, play 2, Texan 310. Matt says, I never heard of Limbaugh until I started working in a bookstore in science books. Huh? Interesting. James Farley, R5000. Currents IT guy, C-Crane, Skywave, SSD. Shortwave? Or what is SSD? Kameda SRW710S and Texan PL 880. Z Brown did get a Flex SDR 1000. Okay, Commando 602. Matt says, rest of my station work for this year includes more grounding. I said grounding. More grounding radios, grounding, and possibly a couple of more supports for dipoleless for working the bands this summer. Finally at the point where I can buy toys. Cool. That is always good. I'm also getting at a point where I have a little more money to buy stuff, so I'm going to try to get stuff. What else do we have? What else do we have? Solid state drives. Yeah. Ron Hicks, do you remember listening to For the People program hosted by Chuck Carter? It was broadcast on shortwave out of Okeechobee. I vaguely remember that show, For the People, on WRFI. WYFR, sorry. WYFR, which had that, if I believe. So kind of interesting. So we're going to talk about one thing first that I think a lot of people, we're going to get this one out of the way. What is, and I posted a video about it today, so you can check it out. What's bias T? What does that mean? So you see here, I've got a little something. So it says that this is a biasing T device, and that is the one that comes with the MLA30, by the way. And people are like, what is bias T? Well, think of bias T as a way of separating something. So bias T is there because some devices, so the MLA30's bias T, for example, is the antenna needs power, but the antenna has one cable. So think about it. The antenna is outside. It needs to have power because the amplifier won't work if it doesn't have electricity. It has only one cable, but it also needs to bring back the RF inside on the same cable. So that creates a problem. It creates a problem because your radio, if a regular radio, like a desktop, like a Kenwood R5000, an ICOM ICRD 500, an FT450 transceiver, a portable radio, if you inject that power and signal into the radio, you're going to blow up the antenna input. It's not meant for electricity. There shouldn't be electricity going in there. Only RF level signals are going in there. So they invented something called the bias T. So the bias T, what it will do is it will handle both the power and the RF, but it will separate it once it's back in. And so that's why there's two connectors. One goes to the receiver, one goes to the antenna. So it will power the antenna, but also get that signal, that RF signal back. The other connector to the receiver will send the RF signal to the radio, but will remove the electricity, will remove the power side of things. So it actually will just take the RF portion and make sure that the power doesn't go to the radio. So that's the bias T. It's there to separate things so that everything works well while still handling one cable only from the antenna. So I have changed so the reason why my MLA30 biasing T is in my hands is because the SDR Play RSP devices have bias T enabled in them. You can actually bypass this, and they are capable of giving power to the antenna and receiving the RF, because within the RSPDX, there's circuitry to separate RF from power. So I removed this. I activated bias T from the SDR. It's powering the antenna and so on. So that's bias T for you guys. Now, bias T is different. Different antennas require different voltages and don't work the same way. An example is that my W6LVP loop, and I don't know if you guys can see it. Let me check it out here. So there's a box with a little light right. So here, so you see this metal box with a little green light here? This, what W6LVP calls a power inserter, is a bias T. It's a bias T that sends power to the W6LVP loop that I have outside. But it's different because this one is powered by a 12-volt power supply. This one is powered by a 5-volt power supply if you want. The ASDR Player RSPDX gives 4.7 volts. It's upscaled to 12 volts within the antenna itself. Now, this is still a bias T, but it's operating at a different voltage, simply. So basically what it is simply a way to power an antenna, power a device, get back the result, remove the power from it, and give just the result to whatever device you're using. It's as simple as that. That's pretty much what a bias T does. By the way, guys, I talked about Rush Limbaugh, but let's not go too far into Rush Limbaugh and stuff like that, okay? Because Rush Limbaugh is controversial, and I mentioned it for purely radio reasons, no political reasons. We're not here to talk about politics at all. That should be kept for other, YouTube or whatever sites. So that's one thing out of the that's one thing about the the other things that we'll talk about. Yep, we are radio lovers, not politicians. Et voila. If we would be radio lovers and politicians, we would have shortwave radio on every country in the world. Okay, I got Kevin J. Napalo send me some nice goodies, and I want to thank him so much for it. I'm going to start with the CC radio here. So this is a very nice radio. It's quite heavy because it has D batteries in it right now. And this is the really nice CC radio by C-Crane. It's an old model that is not available anymore. Covers AM, FM, and shortwave up to 30 megahertz. I gotta say, I love that radio. I love that radio also because it's like a big radio from like in the 80s. It's really cool. And I really, really love that radio. Honestly, it's a nice radio, very sensitive. Sound is beautiful coming out of it. I can't help but think that it looks like and sounds like my Grundig S450 DLX. But it has its shortcomings and everything because of no keypad and stuff like that. But it's surprisingly easy to tune around and have fun with it, and I love it. It's one of my big favorite portables. Has antenna inputs in the back that are kind of nice. One for FM and shortwave external antenna, and there's actually a IF out also on this, which is nice. As of course the connectors for wire antennas, really really nice. Very very nice line out connections, battery size because you can put double A's, but you can put D batteries, power adapter. This is a beautiful radio, honestly. Very, very, very nice. I've seen a lot of comments online about people having problems with it. This one works great. And I got to say that this is I love it. It's one of those radios that if it would still be in production, so no single sideband, by the way, but if that would still be in production, it's probably one of the radios I'd say, yeah, you know what, it's kind of nice for the size and everything. It's really really nice. So okay, that's for the Sea Crane. I know that there are refurbished ones, but I think that because this one is the original one. It's older and it's been out of production since 2016. So I think it's not even there's no refurbished ones because from what I understood is that they can't get parts for it anymore. Actually, that's why Sea Crane stopped selling them. I was reading an interesting article about it, because a lot of people apparently liked this radio, and the reason why they had stopped selling it and even repairing it, they were unable to get parts. So probably no refurbished ones because they have no parts to fix them up. So just hope that it actually works for sure. But it's a very nice radio. Honestly, I find it kind of nice. Other radio that is kind of interesting, and this is, of course, I gotta say, if you have to give one radio, one radio, the win for how beautiful it is and how modern it looks, I mean, this is the winner. This is an amazing, nice radio. So this is the Sangean ATS 909X. This is an updated version, by the way, of the original one. And I'm going to show you guys what the original one looks like, because it's right here in the back of my chair. And I'm going to remove that. So this is the 9. So it says Radio Shack DX 398, but it is the original 909. Looked like this. This is the original one. In 2011, they released the updated one. Look at the difference. That looks like an old radio. That looks like a very modern device. Still in 2020, this looks super modern. It's very, very beautiful. I got to say, I think the first thing I did when I actually took it out of the box was just say, wow, this is really nice. So, of course, there's that ongoing battle about sensitivity of the Sangean ATS 909 versus 909X. And some people, I got rants from time to time of people saying, well, how dare you say the 909X is, deaf on shortwave because you don't own one, you don't even know. Yes, I didn't own one, but I read so many articles and so many things about it that, from what I understood, is that, the original one here is deaf. It's a deaf receiver on shortwave using the telescopic. But put a long wire on it and it actually comes to life and it's pretty nice. So the first thing that I wanted to test out when I got it yesterday, because I got this yesterday, the first thing ever was like, okay, I need to know how it receives shortwave. Result, it's deaf. The deafness, the level of deafness is the same as the original 909. And I was wondering, because one of the things that made me reflect upon this radio is, okay, the radio is really cool looking. Is it just a, cosmetic redesign, or it is more than that? Now, it is more than that. At first, yesterday, I thought, okay, same electronics dumped into a very modern looking radio. No, it's not. And I had a hunch something was different because when I started tuning AM, I have several DSP based receivers here that use a DSP chip. And anybody that has both analog and DSP based radios, you notice by the ear when you're tuning around, there's something different in the tuning. A DSP receiver doesn't act in the same way. And so when I started tuning it, for a moment I was like, this is odd. It sounds like a DSP radio tuning around. But I didn't think it was. And finally, after reading several articles last night, I read one that was really nice. So there was the one from Monitoring Times, and there was a lot of them that I've read. And I understood that, yes, they have added a digital signal processing capability to this radio. Now, this is not based on silicon integrated chips. It's a different type of DSP that's happening in here. It is only working on AM mode. So when you're on AM mode on shortwave, you're on a DSP chip. When you're on single sideband, you're in the normal analog PLL synthesized radio, which make it weird. But at the same time, I still couldn't understand why is it that if they did a redesign, that it's deaf like the original. I don't understand that. I got my answer from a website, which is, let me just fetch it out here. The radio, I remember, I don't want to mess up the name. Sanjian. Yes. So I'm just gonna try to get here. Okay. Review. Sanjian ATS 909X Radio J. I don't want to mess up the name. So Radio J Allen. Radio J Allen. Okay, here it is. Radio J Allen, and they have a review of it. The Monitoring Times also had a review of it. But on the review of Radio J Allen, I actually found out something that I didn't know. So for those of you that wonder why the ATS 909 original and the ATS 909X modern are deaf on the telescopic, is because of a mismatch in the antenna connection to the circuit board for the amplifier, the RF amplifier. And it's so bad that it actually makes it insensitive. It's really a mismatch. But when you put in the antenna connector a long wire, that mismatch is gone. And that radio becomes a true performing radio. So that's what I saw yesterday. And actually, I will add something. You know, when we say we got to test stuff a lot, you guys have seen my review of the Texan AN48X loop. This radio, being deaf, I used the AN48X and I decided to see if it would help out. Oh, it did. It actually really did very well in certain conditions. It also made me rethink on what I think about the Texan AN48X loop antenna. So it's a mismatch in the antenna. And that when you actually use an external antenna, that mismatch is gone. That's why it performs so well on the external antenna. I did notice one thing. It's 1 kilohertz off. And I had a hunch because by here I could hear there was something weird. So I compared it with my RSPDX and with other receivers to make sure. It is this model, this one I have here is 1 kilohertz off. For example, I was on 40 meters listening to ham radio operators, and one was on 7168 lower sideband. I would have to listen to 7167 on this radio to actually have it clear. And this radio doesn't have a BFO or anything. It actually tunes in 40 hertz increments when you're in single sideband. So it's not like you have a BFO that's not aligned correctly or anything. But it's interesting because I learned a lot in the past 24 hours. And I'm also happy because, you know, I felt so crappy in the past few days that took me off my mind of feeling crappy because I just tested all of this together. And one final thing, because I've seen a couple of guys that told me, you know, I want to buy a Sangean ATS 909, blah, blah, blah. Look, it's beautiful and everything, okay? But it's expensive. And even though it's very nice, even though with a long wire antenna it performs really well, I got to say, I still recommend the good old XH Data D808. If you're looking for a good radio, go and get this one. It has single sideband. It has, it's long wave, medium wave, short wave, general coverage. It's a great radio. Get that. Yes, it kind of chugs in the tuning, but then again, it's interesting. Here, let me try it out because if I tune around, well, it's interesting. The 909X doesn't chug. So that's okay. It doesn't chug. I think the original one does though. But it's kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting to test these radios. And once again, I want to thank Kevin J. Napalo for these radios. It's really appreciated. And more tests are going to be done. I'm going to have full reviews of both of the CC radio shortwave and Sangean ATS 909X. One thing I want to say about the Sangean 909X in the audio department, you know, the shortwave, it sounds a little crappy. The speaker doesn't perform super well. But it's super interesting. It's super interesting to learn about all of these receivers, honestly. And that's why it's fun to have them and test them out. What else do we have? John Root, Radio Caroline. Yeah, it's an official licensed broadcaster today. David Martin, that's a problem with electronics that use custom integrated circuits. Yeah, once they stop producing that IC. Yeah, yep, absolutely. You need a cheap analog radio, Moonfest? Get an analog with a needle? Get if you want to go really cheap. If you want to go really cheap, get the Texan R9012. Cheapest good performing analog you'll have. $20. You get down below, yep, it is expensive. That's why. That's why I recommend the XH Data. $100, and man, you know. Okay. What else do we have? Yeah, I'll here's the link, by the way, guys. I'm gonna give you guys the link to where I go and see if you guys have never seen this website, and I should actually make a video out of it. There's a lot of radio reviews, and the guy is really good at radio reviews. So Radio J. Here we go. Go here. Jay's Radio Reviews. So it's Jay Allen is the name, and he put his name in it. RadioJallen.com. So here is the website, and check it out. He's got reviews of almost every radio. It's a fantastic, fantastic website for the reviews. It's really, really, really nice. So, you know. Yep, Radio Wow R108, amazing. Absolutely. Pretty amazing. Jeff King says, finally heard of someone with a PL 390. Love his. Cool. Linux DOS, putting out deaf radios kind of defeats the purpose. You know, what's the problem with putting out a deaf radio, especially because of the price? The price. Um, the price of this thing. I mean, it's not cheap. You're getting a $300+ radio Canadian, and you know, I remember the original one. This was sold at Radio Shack here in Canada for $299 in early 90s. I purchased it because it came on sale at it was $299. It came on sale at $149, half price. At $149, I thought, okay, I'm gonna buy it. But you know what? Anybody that bought this, because honestly, anybody out there, okay, when you bought a radio first for your first radio for shortwave, and it was a portable, because we're not talking about desktops, we're not talking about big radios, because we kind of, you know, see these antenna terminals and think, oh, I need a big antenna for this. I'm talking about buying a portable, and the portable has a telescopic antenna on it, you know. And so, as a new radio listener, I don't think it comes to mind for you to get a wire antenna, or that you'll need some outdoor antenna. And so you think that, you know, you look at the box, and the box says, oh, by the way, this is a world band radio, and you'll get the world on this thing. Yeah, but not only is it already difficult to get the world today because of the noise, imagine if you're trying to get the world on a radio that not only has to defeat the noise, but is insensitive on its telescopic. You know, that's kind of a big joke for me. It's like, really? You sold me a $300 radio that has a mismatch in the telescopic. So my zero knowledge of radio means I don't know I got to put out an outdoor antenna or something. And my zero knowledge of radio thinks that I'm listening to the world on this thing. You know, it's that's a problem. That's a problem, honestly. Because I mean, you know, we're not all radio science tech guys, you know. So that's crazy. Well, the thing is, Michael Langer, is that it's a mismatch. It's not deaf in the amplifier stage. That antenna input is actually giving it the right mix, the right impedance, or I don't know. And so it actually is not deaf technically. It's the mismatch with the telescopic that makes it deaf. Because I thought, well, okay, you know. Danny Shortwave loves his Radio Shack DX398, pretty solid on medium wave. I believe they had issues with the speaker. Yeah, mine does. My speaker is gone on mine. I would need to have it sent to Fazload. I'm sure he would easily and be happy to change the speaker for me. I don't, I'm not there anymore. I don't like, somebody asked me the other day, oh, opening the radio. And it's like, you know what? I'm in the stage of my life that I like to open the radio to see how it's built. Even better, I like to watch pictures on the internet of somebody else that opened his radio to show me how it's built. But I'm in that stage where I don't feel like fiddling with the radios anymore and modifying them, or I don't feel like doing this anymore. It's the radio's fine like it is. I'll let somebody else do whatever needs to be done in it, honestly. So, Moonfest Madness, the World Band of Noise. That would be a good band name. And now on the top charts this week, World Band of Noise with I Can't Hear It. They are number one on the scale of shortwave radio songs. World Band of Noise with I Can't Hear It. Number one this week. Randy Cummings has Alex Crafter's S38 for analog. Mike Hill's first radio, DX160. Those were popular at the time. Michael Langer wants a DX440 number 4. That's loving a radio. Moonfest Madness, first HF radio was a Crystal radio. Keegan says he's got a Radio Shack DX402. Matt says, I have a feeling that if I tried getting into shortwave in the 80s, not knowing any of this stuff, I probably would have given up quickly. You would not, Matt, because you are comparing two different times in the 80s. So just to give you an idea, Matt, my DX100 here, that's what started all my HF passion. That's still why I'm here right now. That thing is crappy as hell as a radio. But man, it looked cool. And, for a 13-year-old kid, $100 radio is like $1 million car. It's like, wow, this is so cool. And you would not have given up because there were so many signals back then that even the crappy radios would pull in tons of stations. Plus the fact that there was no noise, you would get tons of stations. And the first evening with that DX100 here, I got, dozens of shortwave radios of stations in English from Europe and from everywhere. So that was what it looked like at the time. Meaning, if you started your hobby back in the 80s or 70s and your radio was no good, you still heard so many things that you were happy and you thought your radio was good. If that radio would have been my startup radio in 2020, I can tell you, I don't think I would have lasted more than a couple of days and said, wow, this isn't what it's supposed to do. It's a different era and a different way of doing things. Because honestly, you just tuned around and there was tons of signals everywhere. So that was the thing. Joey D, I have a short transistor radio antenna for my short transistor and radio antenna for my Sanjian, and I hear everything. So it depends on location and also many things. Tom DX here, first shortwave radio, Lafayette HA63. Jolyn Minton broke the antenna of my Texan R9012. Texan website doesn't have antenna for the R series. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. Just buy a just buy an an alligator clip and put a piece of wire. It's gonna work. Linux DOS, amazing that we are still using loving AM and coupling loops and all of that. Yep. Some old technologies that um still are used today. Yes, the DX100 drifts like crazy. I saw a mod the other day on the internet where um you can actually make that drift a little better, and even another mod where you could improve single sideband tuning. But man, that radio was crappy. Matt says if I had something that could have picked up shortwave, then yeah, it probably would have hooked me. Yeah, I'm pretty sure because there was a lot of stuff to listen to back then. So Mike Hill says the main problem back then was interference from other stations. Yeah, I remember being mad as hell because I couldn't listen to a station because the stations next to each other were all jam packed 5 kilohertz and they were interfering with each other. That was the main problem back then. You needed to have a really good radio that could actually have great selectivity. So, oh man, selectivity was super important back then. It still is, but it's not that much of a problem today, although it still could be. But today there's so much noise. It's crazy. Yeah, but the internet isn't. You got to be careful, J Bound One. The internet is not what killed shortwave, or is killing shortwave. It has nothing to do with it, because none of what I always say it. The when the internet arrived, we already had a lot of broadcasters that were gone. They already were in a phase in the 80s. They were already in a phase of decline, and it was mostly money versus what you get out of the money we spend on explaining to the world why we exist and doing programs. Honestly, the biggest killer of shortwave was the end of the Cold War. There's a lot of countries that didn't have a reason anymore to broadcast to the world their ideologies. So that was the first killer of shortwave mainly. Then there was a lot of broadcasters that had these old transmitters that broke down and they didn't have money to repair them. And the internet has, in my sense, nothing to do with the demise of shortwave. It's not the same medium. It isn't used in the same way. And I would say that the other big killer of shortwave is noise, especially in modern, like North America, Europe. If you live in a big city, I mean, shortwave is dreadfully difficult to tune around and do things with. The internet is on the other side of the scale for me. The internet is actually what is helping our hobby. Why? Look how many people actually have started or joined the hobby again because of a thing like this, a live show like we have now, because of all the tools we have on the internet, schedules. Getting schedules in the 80s was like, what? Okay. Oh, I got this schedule from 3 years ago. I guess stations might be using the same frequencies. Not. And even the ones that were the most accurate were out of date by the time you'd get them. Today we got websites like EIBI Space and so on that actually are accurate and updated all the time. The internet is actually helping the hobby tremendously. And we simply are in a different, period, a different time, basically. Current IT guy says, I can remember living in a tent all summer in the early 80s with his Panasonic RF 2600 trying to Curacao, Solomon Islands. That was crazy. Take care, Randy. Have a good lunch. There's so many things we would get in the mail. It was so nice back then. Oh yeah, Passport to World Band radio books. Those were amazing. Those were really, really good to help out in our hobby. Jeff King was 15 when his first shortwave radio was a G multiband. Wow. Well, we never forget. We never forget. Obviously, you can still have some good old QSL cards today. So, guys, I'm gonna say goodbye for tonight because I'm a little tired, and you can understand how I might be a little tired with the cold that I got this week that really, really made me. Hope you enjoyed the show, even though I was not feeling up to it. I still did it. Why not do a little donation to help me out? Say, hey, you're a great guy, and you actually did the show, even though you weren't all top shape. Hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. It was a lot of fun to be here. And Friday, we'll talk about the propagation conditions a little more. Unfortunately, Paul isn't here. If he was here, I would gladly, Currents IT guy, show you Paul, but he's not here. So I'm going to take it easy for tonight. I feel a little more tired now. And I'm actually surprised I was able to do 2 hours and a half show without going crazy. And still have a voice. Next show is Friday. Don't forget, this coming Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, 20 hours Universal Time. I want to say thank you, all of you, for being here. It was nice. It was fun tonight. Always fun to be here, anyways. Please take care, everyone. I will continue to recover from my cold/flu problem. And stay safe, everybody. Love you all. Always cool to be here. Take care, my friends. I'm gonna continue listening to the shortwave bands tonight a little, and have fun. Maybe heading to bed and using the Sangean or something, and tuning around with the Texan antenna. Bye, my friend. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being great fans as you are usual. And stay safe, because I want you back, and I want you in top shape. Bye, my friends.